Right now, the average American household is quietly hemorrhaging about $1,000 a year, making decisions that seemed completely normal last year and will seem completely obsolete by 2030. Not because you're doing anything wrong, because the products you've built your daily routine around are being phased out, regulated away, discontinued, and replaced with versions that cost more, spy on you more, and give you less control. And almost nobody is connecting the dots across all of them at once. Today, we're doing exactly that. 15 everyday products that won't exist in 5 years. Some of these are already gone in parts of the country. Some are being killed by federal regulation. Some are collapsing under their own market weight. And every single one of them, you are probably using right now today, this week. Here's my promise for the next 15 minutes. For each one, I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening, exactly why it matters to your wallet, and exactly what to do before the window closes. Because the people who see these changes coming are the ones who save money. The ones who don't, they pay the premium. Every time. Before we go further, if this is the kind of content you want to stay ahead of, hit subscribe. We track exactly this kind of thing every single week so you don't have to build a spreadsheet about it yourself. All right. You touched at least 4 of these before you sat down to watch this video. Let's go. Item 1. Cable TV. The $300 funeral you're still paying for. Let's start with the one that's already in freefall. Cable television penetration in America peaked at 88% in 2010. 88%. Nearly every single household in the country was plugged in. Today, that number sits below 38%, and it is falling off a cliff with no sign of slowing. By the end of this year, over 80 million American households will be using non-pay TV services. That is now a larger group than the number of people still paying for cable. Read that again. The cord cutters officially outnumber the cord havers. And it's not just customers walking away. The companies themselves are dismantling the infrastructure. Wow, a regional cable operator covering Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, and Alabama has announced it is literally shutting off its cable TV signal in 2026 and telling every customer to go sign up for YouTube TV instead. Their own analysis showed subscribers with DVR service would save about $40 a month by switching. The cable company ran the math on itself and admitted it couldn't compete with its own alternative. Pay TV revenue has dropped over $16 billion since 2017. New scripted original content being made for traditional cable channels is now essentially zero. The content left, the viewers left, and now the infrastructure is leaving. But here's what nobody tells you. Cord cutting isn't actually cheaper, not if you're honest about the full picture. One streaming service sounds like $10 a month. But the average American household subscribes to 3 to 5 of them simultaneously. That's $45 to $75 a month before you add YouTube TV for live sports at $73. Add NFL Sunday Ticket on top of that, and you've rebuilt your cable bill from scratch, except now it's fragmented across 6 apps, 6 passwords, and 6 separate companies mining your viewing data. Here's the smart play. Buy a quality HD antenna for $25 to $30. That gets you ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and PBS completely free forever. Then pick 2 streaming services, watch them for 3 months, cancel, and rotate to 2 different ones. You'll see everything you actually want. You'll save around $80 a month versus a full cable package. The era of channel surfing is over. The question is whether you control the transition or let 6 corporations do it for you. From your living room to your kitchen, the next one is a genuine policy battle, and where you live will determine how it affects you. Item 2. Gas stoves. The regulated flame. Roughly 40 million American homes cook with gas. For a lot of people, it's not just a preference. It's a way of life. The control, the heat response, the way a flame behaves under a wok. But preference doesn't carry much weight when building code enters the kitchen. New York became the first state to ban gas-powered stoves, furnaces, and heating in most new buildings. For structures under 7 stories, that law takes effect, starting in 2026. Taller buildings follow by 2029. California's 2025 Energy Code, effective January 2026, requires heat pumps for most space and water heating. Montgomery County, Maryland, the state's largest county, has a gas ban in new construction starting 2027. At the federal level, the Department of Energy has proposed efficiency standards that could eliminate roughly half of the gas stove models currently sold in America. The rule applies to new appliances only. No one is coming to remove the stove from your kitchen. But if you need to replace it, your options are about to shrink dramatically. Now here's the part people miss on both sides of this debate. 26 Republican-controlled states have passed laws specifically prohibiting local gas bans. This is not a settled issue. It is a legislative battlefield state by state, county by county. But the direction of travel is unmistakable. Manufacturers are already shifting investment toward induction. And the replacement cost? An induction cooktop runs $800 to $2,500. A gas stove starts around $400. But if your home's electrical panel isn't rated for the added load, you're looking at $1,000 to $3,000 in electrical panel upgrade costs before you boil a single drop of water. That's not an appliance swap. That's a renovation. Here's the move. If your gas stove works, keep it, maintain it, love it. But if it's aging and you're considering replacing it, spend $30 on a portable induction burner from Amazon first. Use it for a month. Learn the technology before circumstance forces you into it. And if you're buying a home, check local building codes before closing. That question is worth more than the countertop color. From what heats your food to what goes in your glass. This next one hit an 80-year-old product line and killed it with almost no public notice. Item 3. Frozen orange juice concentrate, the cardboard can that built American breakfasts. Pop quiz. When did you last stand at your kitchen counter, peel the lid off a frozen can of orange juice concentrate? If that triggered a wave of nostalgia, I'm sorry to tell you that moment is disappearing from American kitchens permanently. Coca-Cola has announced it is discontinuing Minute Maid frozen juice concentrates in the United States and Canada, effective Q1 of 2026. That's not a limited flavor going away. That's an 80-year-old product line being erased. Minute Maid has been in American freezers since World War II. And now it's done. The entire frozen concentrate category has been squeezed from two directions at once. On the demand side, consumer preference has moved hard toward ready-to-drink. People want to open and pour. On the supply side, citrus greening disease has devastated Florida's orange groves. Production is a fraction of what it was a decade ago. The raw material to make this product is physically disappearing. And Minute Maid is not alone. PepsiCo has announced plans to cut roughly 20% of its entire product line before early 2027. Flavors, snacks, and beverages you've purchased for years are vanishing from shelves, without announcement, without fanfare, without a press release you'd ever see. Here's the number that stings. A can of frozen concentrate makes a full pitcher of orange juice for about $3 to $4. A gallon of ready-to-drink OJ at the grocery store runs $7 to $12. That's a 200 to 300% price increase for the exact same glass of juice at breakfast. If frozen OJ is part of your household routine, stock up now. Those cans last a full year in the freezer. And start exploring powdered drink mixes as your longer-term budget play. A single canister of Tang makes roughly 20 quarts for about $6. It's not glamorous, but it's smart money. Stop for a second. Notice what's happening across the first three items. Cable is being dismantled by market forces. Your stove is being regulated by building codes. Your orange juice is being killed by a combination of disease, corporate consolidation, and changing consumer habits. These aren't isolated events. They're the same pattern. Things you assumed would always be available won't be. The products are going. The question is whether you're ready when they do. From what you drink in the morning to how you start your car. This next one is already in your pocket. Item 4. Physical car keys. The metal you're about to leave behind. Reach into your pocket or grab your keys off the counter right now. Feel that. The weight of the metal, the teeth of the key, or the smooth shell of the fob. There is a reasonable chance your children will not know what that object is. BMW, Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, and Mercedes are all rolling out digital car keys that live on your smartphone. Apple's car key technology lets you unlock, lock, and start compatible vehicles. Google has its equivalent for Android. Ultra-wideband technology means your car senses your phone as you approach and unlocks before you even reach for it. By 2028, the majority of new vehicles will offer a digital key as the primary interface. Sounds seamless, right? And on a good day it is. But consider what happens on a bad day. Your phone dies, you're locked out of your own car. Your phone is stolen, someone may be able to drive away in your vehicle. Your phone is hacked or your account is compromised. Same outcome. And here's the angle almost nobody is talking about. Relay theft attacks on keyless entry vehicles are already a documented crime epidemic in the UK. That wave is arriving in the United States right now. Criminals use two devices costing under $100 to amplify your key fob signal from inside your house, trick your car into thinking the fob is present, and drive away in under 20 seconds. Physical-digital key transition does partially address this, but it introduces entirely new attack surfaces, replacing a lost digital key system through the dealership. $50 to $150 for a backup access card you'll use once a year if you're lucky. Here's the rule, and I want you to take this seriously. Never rely solely on your phone to access your vehicle. Keep the physical key. Keep it charged if it's a fob. And spend $10 on a Faraday pouch. It blocks relay theft attacks on traditional fobs in the meantime. When car shopping, ask the dealer one specific question. What happens when my phone battery is dead? If the answer is vague or slow, walk away. From how you start your car to what you carry out of the grocery store. Item 5. Single-use plastic grocery bags. A quarter of America already lost them. 12 states plus the District of Columbia have already banned single-use plastic grocery bags entirely. California, New York, New Jersey, Oregon, Washington, Connecticut, Maine, Vermont, Hawaii, Colorado, Delaware, Rhode Island. That's not a fringe environmental movement. That's a quarter of the country, and over 400 additional cities and counties have stacked their own restrictions on top of state law. By 2028, more than half the US population will live in a jurisdiction where you simply cannot receive a free plastic bag at checkout, full stop. The cost seems trivial until you do the math. 10 to 25 cents per paper bag at checkout, or $1 to $5 for a reusable. For a family of 4 making weekly grocery runs, that adds up to $50 to $100 in extra annual bag costs for something that used to be free. Multiply that across a decade and you've paid for a weekend trip. The fix is genuinely easy. Buy a 5-pack of reusable bags that fold down into a small pouch and throw them in your car. $8 one time, problem solved for years. But here's the angle most people don't catch. It's not just checkout bags. The small plastic bags used for bathroom trash cans, dog walks, and wet gear, those are getting more expensive and harder to find too. A bulk box of small bags from Amazon today will save you real money over the next 3 years. Buy them before the category gets squeezed the same way checkout bags did. From the checkout line to your living room couch. Item 6. The traditional TV remote. 40 buttons nobody actually uses. Look at your coffee table. Or between the couch cushions. Or wherever it slid this time. How many remote controls are living in that space right now? 2? 3? 4 if you count the one for the soundbar you forgot you owned? The traditional TV remote, that plastic brick with 40 buttons, most of which no human being has ever intentionally pressed, is being phased out of the American living room faster than most people realize. Smart TVs from LG, Samsung, and Sony are shipping with voice-first interfaces. The physical remote is smaller, simpler, and increasingly positioned as the backup option, not the primary one. Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV all push users toward smartphone apps. Alexa, Google Assistant, and Siri can change channels, adjust volume, search for content, and launch apps on a voice command. The direction here is unavoidable. The physical remote becomes the backup. Then the afterthought. Then the thing your kid discovers in a junk drawer and asks what it was for. But here's what the glossy product announcements don't tell you. Every single one of these alternatives comes with a cost. A smart speaker runs $30 to $100. A monthly tier that includes full voice feature access. And every voice command you give to that device, every show you watch, every time you pause, every preference you signal, that is data. Your viewing habits, your daily schedule, your content preferences, all of it recorded, analyzed, and monetized by the platforms providing the convenience. If you prefer the tactile feel of actual buttons, and there is nothing wrong with that, buy a good universal remote now. The Sofa Baton U2 is one of the last great ones. It controls everything, requires no Wi-Fi, and collects none of your data. But also prepare yourself for the voice interface future, because it's here and it's not going back. From the thing you hold in your hand to the thing on your wall, this next one is paper, and it's spying on you in ways you haven't thought about. Item 7. The paper receipt. A thermal strip that's slowly being banned. You buy a pack of gum and a bottle of water, and the machine produces a receipt long enough to gift wrap a bicycle. The paper receipt, that thermal printed strip of transaction evidence, is being regulated, digitized, and chemically scrutinized out of existence. California's SB 165 made digital receipts the default for most retail transactions in 2025. The European Union is advancing similar mandates. Major retailers including Apple, Walmart, and Target have already transitioned to digital receipts as their standard offering. From an economic standpoint, the American retail industry spends an estimated $8 to $13 billion per year printing paper receipts. That is not a cost companies want to absorb indefinitely, and regulatory pressure is giving them the excuse to eliminate it. There's also a health angle that's accelerating the timeline. Thermal receipt paper contains either BPA or its chemical cousin BPS, both of which are under mounting regulatory scrutiny for endocrine disruption and related health concerns. The EU has already restricted BPA in thermal paper. The US is following slowly. By 2027, most major retailers will default to digital. By 2029, a paper receipt will be available only on request at most chains, if at all. The artifact you casually crumple and abandon at the bottom of a bag is becoming a historical object. Now, digital receipts sound like pure convenience. No paper clutter, searchable, always in your email. But read the exchange carefully. To receive that digital receipt, you hand over your email address or phone number. That is not a favor. That is a transaction. Every purchase tracked, every pattern cataloged, every habit analyzed and sold to marketing systems. Here's the smart move. Create a dedicated email address, something like yournamedreceipts@gmail.com, and use it exclusively for store receipts. It keeps your primary inbox clean and creates a firewall between your purchase data and your personal identity. And for any receipt that matters, warranties, tax deductions, large purchases, photograph it the same day you get it. Thermal paper fades within months. The receipt you stuffed in a drawer? By the time you need it, it may be blank. We're about to get into the item on this list that goes beyond inconvenience. This one has genuine emergency preparedness implications. Don't skip this one. Item 8. Manual thermostats. The beige box getting regulated off your wall. There's a thermostat on your wall right now. If it has a simple dial, a slider, or a basic digital display with up and down arrows and nothing else, its regulatory lifespan is nearly over. The manual thermostat, the simplest possible interface for controlling your home's temperature, is being systematically pushed out through a combination of efficiency regulations, building codes, and utility company incentive programs. Most new construction jurisdictions already require programmable or smart thermostats. The Department of Energy's tightening efficiency standards are making basic thermostat installations increasingly non-compliant for new builds. A smart thermostat, a Nest, an Ecobee, a Honeywell home, runs $120 to $250. A basic manual model costs $20 to $40. Smart thermostats genuinely do deliver on their core promise. Studies show they can cut heating and cooling costs by 10 to 15%. If your home's HVAC costs run $2,000 per year, that's $200 to $300 back in your pocket annually. But there are strings attached that don't make the box. No Wi-Fi means no smart thermostat. A power outage takes out your router, and your advanced thermostat may not allow manual override without a fight. And some utility demand response programs your energy company may enroll you in by default, give them the ability to remotely adjust your thermostat during peak demand periods. That is not theoretical. It is written into the fine print of enrollment agreements for programs across at least a dozen states. Read those terms. Here's the smart move. Before you spend $1 at retail, go to your energy company's website and search the word rebate. Many utilities will mail you a smart thermostat for free after rebate, or sell it at 50 to 75% off. If you're going to be pushed toward the smart thermostat future, regardless, let someone else subsidize the transition. We are past the halfway point. 15 items, and I want to ask you something directly. How many of the first 8 have you already felt the pressure of in your own house? Drop a comment right now. Tell me which number hit closest to home. I read every single one of them. Item 9. The copper phone line. The infrastructure dying quietly under your street. This one doesn't get talked about, and the people it affects most are often the least equipped to navigate the alternative. In 2022, the FCC issued a landmark ruling allowing telecommunications companies to retire their copper POTS infrastructure that stands for plain old telephone service, the physical copper wire network that has run under American streets, through neighborhoods, and into homes since the late 1800s. AT&T and Verizon have been aggressively filing notices to decommission copper lines across dozens of states. AT&T has submitted decommissioning applications in more than 20 states. Verizon is exiting copper across multiple Northeast markets. When your copper line goes away, the telecom company offers you a digital replacement called digital voice, which routes your landline calls over the internet. It sounds equivalent. It is not. Traditional copper landlines function during power outages because they carry their own low-voltage electrical current. Digital voice runs over your router. When the power goes out and your router goes dark, digital voice goes silent. For most households, this is an inconvenience. For some, it is a genuine emergency. Home security systems wired to copper phone lines stop communicating with monitoring centers. Medical alert devices worn by elderly or chronically ill individuals, the "I've fallen and I can't get up" type systems. When the copper line disappears, those devices may fail silently, without any notification to the user. If you or an elderly family member has a medical alert device or a home security system connected to a traditional landline, call your telecom provider and ask directly, "Is my copper line scheduled for retirement in my area?" If the answer is yes or uncertain, transition to a cellular-based medical alert system before the deadline. Do not wait for a letter in the mail that may arrive with 30 days' notice. From the phone on your wall to the thing in your wallet that's changing its role in American life entirely. Item 10. Physical cash. America's analog backup system. I want to be precise about what I'm describing here, because it matters. I am not talking about the end of money. Money is not going anywhere. I'm talking about the end of a specific act. The act of reaching into your pocket, pulling out a bill, handing it to another human being, and walking away with zero record of the transaction. That act, the most private, the most direct, the most fundamentally human form of commerce, is becoming rare, and it's about to become much rarer. In 2024, cash accounted for just 14% of all consumer transactions in America, according to the Federal Reserve's Diary of Consumer Payment Choice. That is an all-time low, and the trajectory is steep. If current trends hold, cash could represent just 7% of payments by 2030. But here's the nuance that almost no one reports accurately. Cash isn't declining in absolute volume. The average American still makes about 7 cash transactions per month, the same figure as 2021. What changed is that digital payments exploded around it. The total number of monthly transactions per person jumped from 35 in 2020 to 48. Cash is being drowned by the flood, not dried up by the drought. And the composition of cash tells an even more interesting story. 82% of all U.S. currency in circulation by value is held in $100 bills. Those are not being spent at grocery checkouts. They're sitting in safes in home vaults, tucked into mattresses and lockboxes. Cash is transitioning from a spending tool to a value storage mechanism. It's becoming America's analog savings account. Meanwhile, 2 in 5 Americans now report they don't use cash for any typical purchases. Among households earning under $30,000 per year, though, 30% still rely on cash for nearly everything. The transition to cashless is not equal. It hits hardest at the bottom of the income scale. Here's what I want you to do. Keep cash. Not because you distrust technology, but because you understand systems fail. Keep 2 weeks of household expenses in small bills, 5s, 10s, and 20s, somewhere secure in your home. When the next payment system outage hits, and it will because every large system eventually does, you'll be the person who can still buy groceries while everyone else stands at a frozen card reader staring at their phone. Cash is your backup generator for money. Treat it that way. From the money in your pocket to the light over your head. Item 11. Incandescent light bulbs. Edison's icon, federally eliminated. There is a specific quality of light that has defined the American home for over a century. Warm. Golden. Slightly amber. The kind of light that makes a room feel like a room. The incandescent bulb, the original, the icon, the thing you picture when someone says, "I have an idea," Federal efficiency standards finalized in 2023 require light bulbs to produce a minimum of 45 lumens per watt. Traditional incandescent bulbs produce roughly 15 lumens per watt. They don't just fail the standard. They fail it by a factor of 3. Major manufacturers stopped production before the rule even took full effect. The European Union completed its comprehensive incandescent ban in 2023. Walk into any hardware store today and you'll see it. The incandescent section is either a single small shelf or completely gone. By 2028, finding a traditional bulb will require specialty retailers or deliberate online hunting. Now, and I say this as someone who genuinely mourns the warm light, LEDs are better by almost every objective metric. They use 75% less energy. They last 25 times longer. They've dropped dramatically in price. A basic LED today costs $2 to $8. Over its lifespan, it saves you far more than it costs. The math is not debatable. But here's what LEDs still struggle to replicate: that warm, soft amber glow. Most LED bulbs default to a slightly cooler, bluer tone unless you specifically seek out the warmer end of the spectrum. You want a color temperature of 2700 Kelvin or lower to get close to the warmth of traditional incandescent light. Some go down to 2400 Kelvin and actually match it quite well. Here's the move. Find a warm tone LED rated 2700 Kelvin or lower that you actually like. Then buy a case, not a 2-pack. Because the specific bulb you like will be discontinued, reformulated, or quietly repositioned as a premium product within 2 years. The warm ones always get repriced. Buy the case now. From the light above you to the sounds outside your garage door, this next one is the one that hits somewhere deep. Item 12. Gas lawn equipment. The sound of Saturday morning being regulated away. Close your eyes and picture this. A warm Saturday morning in June. 8 in the morning. You're standing in the garage. You grab the handle, prime the bulb, brace your foot, and pull that cord. That cough. That rumble. That smell of gasoline and fresh-cut grass mixing into something that just smells like summer, like weekends, like home. Your gas-powered lawnmower. Your leaf blower. Your weed trimmer. Your chainsaw. The entire gasoline-powered arsenal that maintains the American yard. All of it on borrowed time. California moved first. Starting January 1, 2024, the sale of new gasoline-powered small off-road engines is banned in the state. Lawnmowers, leaf blowers, weed trimmers, chainsaws, and small generators. Not the use of existing ones. You can still run your current mower, but buying a new gas unit? Off the table in California. Here's the science that drove that decision, and this number stopped me cold. According to the California Air Resources Board, operating a commercial gas-powered leaf blower for 1 hour produces the same amount of smog-forming emissions as driving a Toyota Camry from Los Angeles to Denver. 1 hour. 1 leaf blower. Over 1,000 miles of car exhaust equivalent. That is not a typo. A gas lawnmower running for 1 hour generates emissions equivalent to roughly 11 hours of car driving. These small engines have essentially zero emissions controls compared to a modern automobile. They are the dirtiest machines most Americans operate on a regular basis, and almost nobody thinks about it because it's just lawn care. Washington State is following California's path. Oregon is studying similar legislation. Vermont is exploring it. The EPA's national air quality standards are tightening. And here's the market signal that tells you this is real. The manufacturers have already pivoted. Husqvarna, DeWalt, Ego, Ryobi, Milwaukee, every major brand is pouring capital into battery electric outdoor power equipment. They're not doing this out of environmental conviction. They're doing it because they see the regulatory writing on the wall and they want to own the market when the switch becomes mandatory. Now, the battery electric alternative isn't cheap or simple. An electric lawnmower runs $300 to $600. A comparable gas mower runs $200 to $400. But add the battery at $150 to $300 the charger, and factor in that batteries degrade significantly in 3 to 5 years, with replacements running $100 to $200 each, and the full cost picture gets complex. And here is the trap that nobody warns you about before you spend the money. Every major brand uses proprietary battery systems. If you buy an Ego mower, you need Ego batteries. Which means your trimmer, your blower, and your chainsaw all need to be Ego too, or you're managing separate battery ecosystems for every tool in your garage. One brand, all your tools. That's not convenience. That's strategic lock-in by design. Here's the smart play. If your gas mower still runs, keep it, maintain it, run it until it genuinely can't go anymore. Stock up on parts now while they're cheap and available. A spare spark plug, an extra air filter, a couple quarts of small engine oil. But when the day comes to replace it, go battery electric and commit to a single brand ecosystem. EGU, DeWalt, Ryobi, their batteries cross-compatible across all their tools in that lineup. One battery platform runs your mower, your trimmer, your blower, and your chainsaw. That's where the real savings live. Not in the machine, in the battery strategy. 3 items left. One of them is something you've probably bought as a gift in the last 12 months. Item 13. Disposable AA and AAA batteries. The single-use commodity going rechargeable by law. You probably have a drawer somewhere in your house with a tangled collection of them. Loose AA and AAA batteries, some full, some dead, impossible to tell apart without a tester. The single-use alkaline battery has been the universal power currency of American households for 60 years. And it's facing a structural transformation that will fundamentally change how you think about powering your devices. The EU's battery regulation, taking effect in 2027, mandates that portable batteries in consumer electronics must be designed to be removable and replaceable by the user, and significantly, the regulation creates compliance pressure for rechargeable designs over single use. U.S. states including California, Washington, and New York are advancing analogous battery legislation. The regulatory direction is clear. But the bigger driver isn't regulation. It's device design. Walk through your house and count how many new devices still use replaceable AA or AAA batteries. Your TV remote, almost certainly. Your smoke detectors, yes. Your wireless keyboard and mouse, possibly. But AirPods? Built-in battery. Game controllers? Built-in rechargeable. Wireless headphones? Built-in rechargeable. Electric toothbrush? Built-in rechargeable. The device ecosystem is migrating en masse toward USB-C rechargeable internal batteries. The humble EBA is being orphaned by the products it used to power. The $15 billion US single-use battery market isn't collapsing overnight. Your smoke detector still needs AAs. Your TV remote still needs AAs. But 5 years from now, the number of devices requiring them will be substantially smaller. And as volume drops, expect single-use battery prices to rise. Here's the smart move. Make the switch to rechargeable now, before price pressure forces you to. Panasonic Eneloop Pro is the gold standard for rechargeable AA and AAA batteries. They hold their charge for up to 10 years in storage, which solves the dead before I need them problem. A set of 8 Eneloop Pros with a charger runs about $30 to $40. That replaces hundreds of dollars of single-use batteries over its lifespan. 2 left. The next one involves something you've almost certainly been defrauded by, whether you know it or not. And number 15, I debated including this one. But it's real, it's documented, and it matters more than people realize. Item 14. Physical gift cards, the plastic rectangle being killed by fraud. The gift card industry processes roughly $170 billion in value annually. Physical plastic gift cards, those laminated rectangles hanging on spinner racks at every grocery checkout, pharmacy, and big box store, are a fixture of American gifting culture. They're also being systematically killed by a fraud epidemic that most consumers don't know is happening, and by a digital transition that retailers are quietly accelerating. Here's the scam that is costing American consumers hundreds of millions of dollars per year. A thief visits a retail store, removes a physical gift card from the display rack, photographs or records the card number on the back, carefully replaces it, and waits. The card is worthless until someone buys and activates it. The moment it gets activated at checkout, the thief's monitoring software alerts them, and they drain the balance, often within minutes. The consumer buys the card, hands it as a gift, and the recipient finds a zero balance. The FTC received over 100,000 gift card fraud complaints in 2023, with a median consumer loss of $977 per incident. And the physical card design makes this fraud structurally easy. The card number and PIN are accessible before activation. That is the vulnerability. Retailers know this. Visa, Target, Amazon, and major brands are quietly but deliberately transitioning toward digital-only gift codes delivered via email or app. No physical card means no shelf skimming, no number photography, no activation monitoring. The physical card offers nothing that a digital code doesn't, and carries substantial fraud liability that a digital code eliminates. Within 5 years, the physical gift card display rack will be a relic of a period when we hadn't figured out how to close a fundamental security gap. Here's your immediate action. When purchasing a gift card, always choose digital delivery. It eliminates the fraud vector entirely. If you are given a physical card as a gift, register it immediately on the issuer's website and check the balance before using it. If the balance has been drained, report it to the FTC at reportfraud. You may not recover the funds, but the report contributes to enforcement patterns that protect others. One left. This one is different from everything else on this list. The others affect your wallet, your convenience, your daily routine. This one affects something bigger, and I want to take a minute with it. Item 15. The printed local newspaper, the institution being killed by a hedge fund. In 2005, the United States had approximately 9,000 local newspapers. As of 2024, more than 2,500 of them have permanently closed. That's more than 1 in 4. And the closures are accelerating. 1 in 5 Americans now lives in what researchers at the University of North Carolina call a news desert, a community with no local news coverage of any meaningful kind. No coverage of city council meetings. No coverage of local court cases. No coverage of school board decisions or zoning changes or municipal contracts. Nothing. The driving force behind the most aggressive closures isn't the internet or changing readership habits, though those play a role. It's financial consolidation. A single hedge fund, Alden Global Capital, has purchased and systematically gutted more than 200 local newspapers across the United States. Their operating strategy is documented and consistent. Cut staff by 50 to 70%, sell the physical building, reduce print frequency, and extract maximum short-term cash flow, then close it. Researchers have studied this pattern extensively. It is not accidental. It is the business model. What replaces a local paper when it dies? Often nothing. Sometimes a hyper-local blog run by a retired journalist. Sometimes a nonprofit-funded outlet covering fragments of the original beat. But the consistent, daily accountability journalism that attends every city council meeting, files public records requests, and covers local government on behalf of residents who cannot be there themselves. And the consequences are measurable. Academic research, including peer-reviewed studies published in political science journals, has found that the closure of local newspapers is followed by statistically significant increases in municipal borrowing costs, government inefficiency, and measurable increases in corruption at the local level. When the watchdog goes away, the watched behave differently. The Sunday newspaper on your doorstep isn't just a product being discontinued by market forces. It is a civic infrastructure that took 200 years to build and is being disassembled in a decade by parties with no investment in the communities they're stripping. Here's what you can do. If your local paper still exists, subscribe to the digital edition. It typically costs $5 to $8 a month, and that subscription is one of the few direct ways you can extend its life. If your local paper is already gone, your public library card almost certainly provides free access to ProQuestion's newspaper database, which includes thousands of regional and local papers across the country. And seek out your local independent nonprofit news outlet. They exist in more communities than people realize, and many are doing exceptional work on a fraction of the resources. 15. Let's land this. Cable TV collapsing under its own weight. Gas stoves regulated out of new construction. Frozen OJ wiped off the shelf after 80 years. Physical car keys being replaced by something more hackable than anyone admits. Plastic bags banned across a quarter of the country. The TV remote being replaced by a device that listens to everything you say. Paper receipts trading your privacy for your inbox. Manual thermostats giving way to systems that your utility can override. Copper phone lines, the backbone of emergency communication for a century, being decommissioned and replaced with something that goes dark when the power does. Physical cash transitioning from spending tool to backup reserve. Incandescent light federally banned after over a century. The gas mower being regulated off the market and replaced by a battery ecosystem that will cost you more. Single-use batteries slowly being orphaned by the devices they use to power. Physical gift cards, a $170 billion market, being killed partly by fraud and partly by design. And local newspapers, the watchdogs of local democracy, being systematically dismantled by investors. Here's the thread connecting all 15 of them. Every single one of these transitions involves a transfer of control. Control over your viewing. Control over your cooking. Control over your privacy. Control over your money. Control over your information. In almost every case, what's replacing the thing you're losing requires more of your data, more of your subscription budget, more of your dependence on a company whose interests are not aligned with yours. That is not an argument to resist all change. LEDs genuinely are better. Battery electric lawn equipment genuinely is improving. Some of these transitions are worth embracing, but all of them are worth understanding, and understanding in advance before you're paying the premium that comes with being unprepared. The people who see these shifts coming have time to buy the extra air filter, time to check the utility rebate, time to pick the right battery ecosystem, time to set up the burner email, time to stock the freezer, time to subscribe to the local paper before it's gone. The people who don't see it coming discover it at the worst possible moment. Locked out of a car with a dead phone. Standing at a frozen card reader with no cash. Handed a drained gift card. Opening a newspaper that stopped printing 6 months ago. Here's your one thing to do right now. Drop a number in the comments. Just a number. The item number that hit closest to your daily life. I read every single comment. I respond to the top ones. And your answer genuinely shapes what we cover next. Your input is what makes this channel different. If this video made you look around your house differently, subscribe. We do this every single week, tracking what's changing, what's disappearing, and exactly what to do about it before the window closes. And next week, speaking of things being quietly replaced without your consent, we're going to look at what's happening to your medical records, your insurance data, and the personal health information that 4 companies you've never heard of are already buying and selling. That one will change how you think about every doctor's visit you've ever had. See you then.